All right, we did have our list of games unveiled by Sony for the PlayStation Plus tiers. Remember, we have extras and we have the premium service that will have legacy PlayStation games included. I mentioned they were going to have to unveil this list here pretty soon since it comes out in certain parts of the world starting next week. And they put out a PlayStation blog post going over, they say, a selection of games. I think these are the highlights, though, and any games that show up next to them aren't going to be much to write home about, but I wanted to take a look at the list here today. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave Plus channel, make sure you subscribe down below. Let's take a look at this PlayStation blog. And this entire post goes over each tier, but there's not much to go over with Essential because it's just PlayStation Plus as it is now, and they'll unveil, I'm sure, games coming up here for June in a couple of weeks. But we're specifically taking a look at the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium. That's starting with PS4 and PS5 game catalog. And if you're a part of PlayStation Now, you'll know that we didn't have any PS5 games there. I know there was like me and 12 other people, but I'll walk you through exactly what looks familiar here to us. Anyway, PlayStation Studios, they divide them up between that and third-party partners. We see Alien Nation, Bloodborne, Concrete Genie, which having Concrete Genie in there now that they are more publicizing this service as opposed to PlayStation Now, again, they pretended like it didn't even exist a few times there, is good because some of these games could just have more eyes on it, and I think Concrete Genie is a game that flew under the radar for almost everyone, and hey, there might be some people who try it out for the first time and enjoy it. It's a very unique title, and if you get the service, download it and see what you think of it. Days Gone, Dead Nation, Apocalypse Edition, a lot of Housemarque stuff in here. Actually, Death Stranding and Death Stranding Director's Cut, which we see the PS5 logo here. Good to see PS5 games actually in this service because it was very weird in PS Now. When they would add a game, we know there's a PS5 version, like Avengers, and it was the PS4 version. It was like, why? I have a PS5. But anyway, Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars. Destruction All-Stars was added into PlayStation Plus out of the gate, so there are probably many of us who claimed it and just have it in our library. Anyway, Everybody's Golf, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, again, PS4 and PS5. God of War, Gravity Rush 2, Gravity Rush Remastered. There's also a lot of Japan studio representation here, which, once again, could be good overall. Just have more people take a look at games that underperformed when it came to sales, right? So we'll see if people maybe give Gravity Rush 1 or 2 a chance here. Horizon Zero Dawn, Infamous First Light, Second Son, Knack, no Knack 2, Little Big Planet 3, Loco Roco Remastered, Loco Roco 2, Spider-Man Miles Morales, not the Spider-Man Remastered, however, but we do the PS5 version of Miles Morales, Matterfall, Medieval, Patapon 1 and 2, Resogun, Returnal, Shadow of the Colossus, Tearaway, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, The Last of Us Left Behind. It's going to be an interesting one, considering there are all these rumors around a Last of Us remake, but they just threw it into this service. I guess they figured, hey, it's here, might as well. And then we have Until Dawn, Uncharted, Nathan Drake Collection, Uncharted 4, Uncharted Lost Legacy. I mean, all the Uncharted games are right here in this service, so if you've never played them and you sign up, there's a lot to do there. And then Wipeout Omega Collection, that's actually a pretty fun game. Third-party partners, Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Ashen. Assassin's Creed Valhalla actually has the PS5 version, so good to see third parties are at least also having their PS5 versions available. Batman Arkham Knight, Celeste, City Skylines, Control Ultimate Edition, Dead Cells, Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, Final Fantasy 15 Royal, For Honor, Hollow Knight, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which Square is just throwing this game everywhere at this point. They sold the studio to, it's going to be selling it to Embracer Group when that deal goes through. I feel like they were just trying to get whatever money they could out of it at the end before they hand off that studio. Mortal Kombat 11, Ultimate Storm 4, NBA 2K22, Outer Wilds, Red Dead Redemption 2, which that one's been in subscription services before, but good to see it pop back up here. Resident Evil, Soul Calibur 6, South Park, The Artful Escape, The Crew 2, and Tom Clancy's The Division. This, I think, is a pretty good value for the PlayStation Plus Extra tier at its pricing. And for people who pick up a PS5 for the first time and they're looking like Essential or the extra tier, spending the extra, $30 or $40 to move up and have access to all these different titles, that's actually not bad. However, the list that is causing quite a bit of conversation online has to do with the classic games catalog. This is part of the premium tier, and one of the benefits is having access to a list of legacy titles from Sony from their previous systems. Now, there are some good things here that I want to point out as we go through the list, starting with Ape Escape. Hey, good to see Ape Escape thrown in there. Hot Shots Golf, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Siphon Filter, Super Stardust Portable. Third parties, Mr. Driller, Tekken 2, Worms World Party, Worms Armageddon. Those were leaked out. We talked about that in Newswave when the key art was shown from one of the PlayStation backends with the cover art and all this. But I want to point out, they're going to allow you apparently to buy these separately. They say some of the titles will be available for individual purchase, along with some of these games running at better frame rates, higher quality resolution. I would hope so. And they will also be able to rewind and do save states, so save your game at any point in time. They also mentioned that if you have purchased the digital version of select games from original PlayStation and PSP, you won't have to buy them again or sign up for PlayStation Plus. They will just become available, which is good. Having these games go with you between generations is something that I think is very important for these companies to do, Nintendo. And it's nice to see that that is the case here with Sony and this service. However, looking at the list of games they have here for the original PlayStation, the PSP, it's very underwhelming. There's nothing here that like really hits hard and is like, I gotta sign up so I can play this. And I mean, there's a lot of original PlayStation games they could have grabbed, but they came up with a list that I just don't really see anyone jumping out of their seat for. They also had the classic games catalog for remasters. And if you're on PlayStation now, some of these are going to look familiar. Actually, a lot of them are going to look familiar. I'd say at least more than half this list: Ape Escape 2, Arc the Lad, Dark Cloud 2, Fantavision, Hot Shots Golf. They have like all the Jack games in here: Jak 2, Jak 3, Combat Racing, Jak and Daxter, Rogue Galaxy, Siren, Wild Arms 3. These are all games, for the most part. Was Jak in there? I'm trying to think. I know probably 70% of these games were in PlayStation Now, and the list never updated. So like this is what we just always had. Third party, BioShock Remastered, Borderlands, Bulletstorm, Kingdoms of Amalur, Lego Harry Potter Collection. Here's the thing I'm very hopeful for around this entire situation with these legacy games, and especially the remasters. With this subscription service, Sony actually has a reason to update this list and add more games. They never had a reason with PlayStation Now. That's what I mean. This is the same list we mostly had with PlayStation Now. They never updated them. Same with the PS3 games, which they're cloud streaming. I did a video going over what PlayStation Now looked like before we transitioned to the service, and it's not ideal. Serviceable, sure, if you really want to see Infamous 1 and 2 with input delay and blocky visuals at times because of compression. It's tough to sell people on streaming. Who knows, maybe far off into the future it's better, but again, this is a section that I think people are just kind of scrolling right past because it's like, it'd be fun if those were native experiences, but they're just streaming. Anyway, they have the time-limited game trials. This is different, I think, than a lot of us were expecting because there's 6 games. I think people were figuring, oh, they're going to flip a switch, and all of these games are going to have time-limited trials because the leak was kind of saying, oh, all these different games are just going to be part of it if it's above a certain price threshold. They outlined 6 of them. 2 of them are for PlayStation Studios' Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, which, by the way, those games are just in the PlayStation Extras tier, that being Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy. So just, I mean, you just play those, see if you like it, and if you do, you can technically just buy that one. It just gives you better frame rate and resolution, and like that's probably going to find its way into the extra tier and probably by the end of the year or something anyway. But Horizon Forbidden West makes a lot of sense because 2 hours, I mean, that game is huge. I went back to start that game up again, and I'm almost 40 hours in, and I'm still just finding side quest after side quest, all kinds of stuff to do in it. So 2 hours just scratching the surface in that one. Third-party partners include Cyberpunk 2077, which that game has been like $10 over and over again. Farming Simulator 22. Tiny Tina's Wonderland, that's at least a good get for a demo. And WWE 2K22. The game trials is something that seems to have worked for EA, so obviously Sony was like, hey, let's do that. So there you go. Extra benefit, I guess, there. New games added regularly. This is my hope for the PlayStation Plus Premium with those legacy games is we see PS1, PS2 games get added frequently. The PS3 games, when they announce them, people are going to say, oh, okay, cool. And that'll kind of be it. They'll just move along because it's streaming, right? Like Metal Gear Solid 4 could get thrown back in. All the Metal Gear games, by the way, have just disappeared off of storefronts. Yeah, not great right now. Hopefully those do make a return at some point. But I'm really hopeful that we see more of these PS2 remasters. No mention of trophy support or anything. I feel like that's something they would have said if it was there. So I'm leaning on the side of no trophy support. Could have been cool. But this is the list, along with obviously PS1 games, that I would like to see. Basically, anything that's Classics Games catalog, build this selection up over time. And the idea of being able to buy it is great because, hey, if you see it pop up and you're like, you know, I would really like Legend of Dragoon, but I don't want to sign up for the service, you can just outright buy it and then just kind of move along. And that's kind of where I stand with it now, is that the PlayStation Plus Extras tier is probably the best value. And you can just kind of keep an eye on that PlayStation Plus Premium tier to see if Sony is able to add more games to it and more value over time. They said it was prorated, so if you end up liking the selection they have, say, by the end of the year, halfway through your subscription on Extra, you can pay the difference and then jump up to that premium tier. Or you can just buy the games separately as they show up and add them to your library. But let me know what you guys think about the list of games that they've shown off here, if there are any you're really excited for. And if there's a certain tier you were thinking about subscribing to after seeing this list or staying away from. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.